Besama Ab, well, Wemafeskadus, Ahadawamla, Amen. Besama Ab, well, Wemafeskadus, Ahadawamla, Amen. Besama Ab, well, Wemafeskadus, Ahadawamla, Amen. Good morning, blessed love, and blessed Sabbath to you all, and also blessed Coronation Day. Today is 2nd of November, and it's the 94th anniversary of the blessed coronation of His Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie I and Empress Menen Afsal. So give thanks and peace and celebration and blessed love to all who are celebrating and acknowledging this special day worldwide, with Rastafari mansions worldwide. So on with the reading of Genesis chapter 35 from the Ethiopian Bible. And God says to Jacob, "Rise up and go to Bethel and dwell there, and make there an altar to God, who appeared to you in the fleeing from your face of your brother Esau." And Jacob says to his household and to all who are with him, "Turn aside the gods of the stranger which are in your midst, and cleanse yourself, and change your garments, and we rise and go up to Bethel, and I make there an altar to God, who has answered me in the day of my tribulation, that is with me in the way that I have gone." And they give to Jacob all the gods of the strangers that are in their hand, and the rings that are in their ears. And Jacob hides them under an oak tree, which is by Shechem. And they journey, and the terror of God is on the cities which are around them, and they have not pursued after the sons of Jacob. And Jacob comes to Luz, which is in the land of Canaan. It is in Bethel, he and all the people who are with him. And he builds there an altar and proclaims at the place of God of Bethel, for there had God had been revealed to him in his fleeing from the face of his brother. And Deborah, Rebekah's nurse, dies, and she is buried at the lower part of Bethel, under the oak, and he calls its name Oak of the Weeping. And God appears to Jacob again in his coming from Paddan Aram and blesses him. And God says to him, "Your name is Jacob. Your name is no longer called Jacob, but Israel is your name." And he calls his name Israel. And God says to him, "I am God Almighty. Be fruitful and multiply. A nation and an assembly of nations is from you, and kings from your loins go out. And the land which I have given to Abraham is to Isaac. To you I give it. Indeed, to your seed after you I give the land." And God goes up from him in the place where he has spoken to him. And Jacob sets up a standing pillar in the place where he has spoken with him, a standing pillar of stone, and he pours on it an oblation, and he pours on it oil. And Jacob calls the name of the place where God has spoken with him in Bethel. And they journey from Bethel, and there is yet a distance of land before entering Ephrathah. And Rachel bears, and is sharply pained in her bearing. And it comes to pass, in being sharply pained in her bearing, that the midwife says to her, "Do not fear, for this also is a son for you." And it comes to pass in the going out of her soul, for she died, and for she calls his name Ben-Oni, and his father called him Benjamin. And Rachel died, and is buried on the way to Ephrathah, which is Bethlehem. And Jacob sets a standing pillar over the grave, which is the standing pillar of Rachel's grave to this day. And Israel journeys and stretches out his tent before the tower of Edar. And it comes to pass in Israel's dwelling in that land that Reuben goes and lies with his father's concubine Bilhah. And Israel hears, and the sons of Jacob are 12, sons of Leah, Jacob's firstborn Reuben, and Simeon and Levi and Judah and Issachar and Zebulun, sons of Rachel, Joseph and Benjamin, and the sons of Bilhah, Rachel's maidservant, Dan and Naphtali, the sons of Zilpah, Leah's maidservant, Gad and Asher. These are the sons of Jacob who have been born to him in Paddan Aram. And Jacob goes to his father Isaac at Mamre, the city of Arabah, of Arba, which is in Hebron, where Abraham and Isaac have sojourned. And the days of Isaac are 180 years, and Isaac expires and dies, and is gathered to his people, aged and satisfied with days. And his sons Esau and Jacob bury him. For these few words I give thanks, blessed Lord. So it's quite a short chapter, but there's a lot packed in. Significantly, there's 3 deaths. Rebecca's nurse, Rebecca's nurse, Deborah, she passes. Rachel herself passes, and then Isaac at the end of that chapter passes. So it's a chapter which is quite significantly, setting Jacob up as the next generation. The promise was with Jacob and his inheritance, and the tribes of Jacob, the tribes of Israel as they're now known. So this chapter, in part, is setting the scene for that next generation and for Jacob to become the matriarch after the passing of Isaac, Rachel, and then also the maidservant. It ends again with Esau and Jacob working in unison and burying Jacob. Also hidden in there is how Reuben, Isaac's firstborn, sleeps with the maidservant. Don't remember the name now, but sleeps with the maidservant. And this is a maidservant, so Bilhah, the maidservant. And this is a maidservant that Isaac himself has had children with. So he's sleeping with his father's mistress, essentially. And Isaac isn't pleased about that. So again, that's setting the scene for Reuben. Reuben's the firstborn, but that has real ramifications on him later down the line. In the future chapters, we're going to see how Reuben loses in his status as the firstborn because of that transgression. And it kind of, I think one of the things that a lot of this shows, the twists and turns of these chapters, is that even though these are God's chosen people, from Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and these are the people that, in a way, God anointed to be God's chosen people on earth. But even they aren't perfect. No family is perfect. And these chapters really show that even when God has anointed you and showed you that blessing, that it does not make you perfect. And there's all kinds of drama kind of going on, one sentence this and then another sentence that, and it all has different ramifications and implications and repercussions. We saw that in the last chapter, when Simeon and Levi believe they're acting in an honourable way because their sister Dinah had been raped and they want to seek revenge. The way they seeked revenge also was questionable even from their own father. So no family's perfect, and I think these chapters are showing that these different transgressions. Then it's also how then people respond to that. What's the level of discipline or justice, etc. And the humans are kind of working this out, and as we know, we still work these things out. This was written however many thousand years ago, and we're still not getting it right. We're still trying to work things out, and we're still far from perfect. So I think these are very human stories in Genesis. They're very characters with lots of kind of flaws and contradictions. And again, we're seeing that relationship between God and human kind of evolve, take different twists and turns, and negotiating, life on earth, but life on earth with an observance of God and following the wishes and the promises that he set. So it's a continual negotiation, on an earthly level and also on a level in relation to the communication between, heaven and earth through God and his, intermediaries and adversaries. So I'll end it there. Interesting reading. Have a blessed day. Malcolm Ken. Have a good day. And any of you that are in the celebrations for His Majesty and the coronation, You know, have a good one, and I hope to see you out there. I'll be celebrating in Bristol and Bath. Blessed love.